Welcome to the Base-Ment. I'm Hannibal. These are my thoughts. Let's talk. Or shall I say, let's communicate. Or rather, let me communicate. See, it's funny because we think that we feel that we are getting our points across, having conversations, when in fact, a lot of times we're not having a conversation and we're not engaging the other person. So if we break this down, Webster defines communication as expressing an idea or thought or anything that you want to get, translating something to someone else. Now that can be via talking, that can be via sign language, it can be via billboard. It's quite simply me saying whatever it is I want to say. Thoughts, desires, feelings. It's just me saying. That's me communicating something to you or to others. Like right now, I'm communicating to you. But you aren't necessarily communicating to me because we're not doing a back and forth. Now, if we talk about debating is me arguing my points. Debating is a controlled exchange where we're looking at the pros and cons or something, or the positives and the negatives or something. It is a back and forth. It is not necessarily an expression of my feelings or whatever. However, it is me trying to get you to come to a decision, or even myself to come to a decision about whatever the subject matter may be, by weighing out the pros, the cons, the goods, the bads, the what ifs and the whatnots. And so therefore trying to get you to see my point of view. Or maybe not even trying to get you to see my point of view, just trying to prove which side is better. Now there's arguing. Now it's funny because when we think about arguing, we think about this conflict. And that is in fact an argument in the transitive or physical sense. But arguing is quite simply, by definition, me trying to prove to you, and this is where we take the debate. The debate involves argument, it involves talking, but me trying to prove to you that whatever I'm saying is the truth or better, or so I'm arguing my point. I'm giving you arguments that support whatever it is I'm saying. And quite often, yes, the arguments become conflicting. Because generally when you're in an argument versus presenting an argument, and I present an argument, I'm presenting proof, I'm presenting evidence, I'm presenting something to substantiate. Now, when I'm in an argument, I quite possibly am the negative or the con of that situation, or vice versa. And so nobody's really listening. They're just trying to be right. In a debate, I'm presenting evidence to make people decide that one is better than the other. When I'm arguing with you, I don't care if you really feel one is better than the other. I just want you to feel that I'm right, or I just want to be right. And I'm not really listening to you. I can't hear you above my own argument or voice. And then there's talking. Talking is just quite simply that. I'm just talking. I can be talking out the side of my neck saying anything. I'm not necessarily listening, and you aren't necessarily listening. We see people all the time talking. I can go down to Family Dollar right now. There's a guy out there. He's talking. Don't nobody know who the hell he's talking to, but he's talking. And he's gesturing and everything else. He's talking. He's espousing himself. And then there is to converse. Now, converse is the magical word, or conversation. That's the magic. That's where, as defined by Webster, there is an exchange, there is an engagement, there is an interaction. I am talking to you, speaking to you, communicating things to you, and you are in turn listening, hearing me, absorbing, and speaking, talking, presenting stuff to me. And so there's a back and forth, there's an interaction, there is a synchronicity, a symbiotic relationship, if you will. And this is where we achieve the goal of communication. Because I can go paint something on the wall right now. You may never see it. You may never think about it. You may walk past it, read it, never think about it. You may walk past it, decide it's a bunch of garbage and paint on top of it. You never receive it, so to speak. You never think about it. It doesn't engage you. You don't turn around and then have a conversation with me. But I communicated it. So conversation. So quite often people say, let's talk. Okay, let's talk. But are you going to listen? Am I going to be able to talk to you, or do you just want to talk? Or do you just want to communicate to me? You just want to argue with me, present your arguments. You want to debate. So the next time you need to communicate with someone, communicate something to someone. See, we like to say I want to communicate with you, or communicate with someone. You're not necessarily communicating with someone. You communicate to someone, but you converse with someone. You talk to someone, but you converse with someone. So if you want to get your feelings out, you want to get your point across, you need to be heard on something, you need to know something, have the conversation. And think about how you have that conversation, because quite often we don't. We have an idea of what it is that we want to achieve, and not taking into consideration how we approach that. And it's like a pilot coming in for a landing. Now, an experienced pilot, somebody who's been through the ringer, so to speak, somebody who may have flown jets in the military or special training, you can land a plane a number of ways. In the game, you landed the plane. But now a commercial pilot, he's got passengers, cargo. He's got to land that plane a certain way. You know, he can't come in with a rough landing, because you jostle you shake up the contents of what it is you're supposed to be bringing to the landing strip, to the airport. So you have to adjust prior to your landing. You have to look at your landscape coming in and adjust your approach so that you have the softest, most efficient, well, not necessarily most efficient, but softest landing that protects your cargo and does not disrupt or damage what it is you're bringing to the runway. Same thing with your conversations. When you go into a conversation with somebody and you want to achieve a certain thing, think about your approach, because you might be setting yourself up for, or setting the plane up for a rough landing. And so therefore, everything that you're planning to present or bring to the landing strip, you just shook it up as you were trying to bring the plane in for a landing, and so therefore it's damaged. And now you can't really have that conversation like you set out to do. I don't know if that made any sense, but think about it. Before I go, I have to say, kudos, good job, congratulations. I love you and I'm so proud of you, to all my daughters. And I'm going to give a shout out tonight to my 18-year-old who is about to graduate. We've had honor cord ceremonies. That night we had a scholarship ceremony. In the morning we have a medical, or she's in a medical magnet, and we're going to have that graduation ceremony. And then of course there's the big show. And it's bittersweet, because this is what we set them up for, right? We put them on a launching pad so that they can soar. And she's flying. She's getting ready to soar. And I'm proud and I'm in awe. Do you think, baby girl, Daddy loves you and I got you? Always. And I mean that for all my daughters. And you know that. All right, now that I spilled my beans, tomorrow's Friday. I challenge you to go out and make somebody smile, just for no reason. God bless. Good night.